Welcome to episode 90 of The Endless Stream. I'm Aidan, and as usual, I am joined by Brian and Kevin. We are three artists, illustrators, filmmakers, and all-round shit talkers, and each week we take some of the endless stream of content brought to you through Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, Amazon, Spotify, Apple TV, wherever you get your content, we take a chunk of it, we watch it, and we talk about it. This week we talk about a bunch of random Christmas movies that Kevin seems to have watched, all of the news that came out of the Games Awards, and Aidan being a sleepy boy. If you like what you hear, please consider subscribing to the podcast, heading over to iTunes, like and subscribing, rating, reviewing, all of those good things really help us out. On top of that, you can head over to Instagram at The Endless Cast, where we put up artwork and clips to go with every episode, and that's a great place to get in touch. So shoot us a message, suggest something for us to watch, disagree with one of our opinions. You can do that over there, or you can send us an email at theendlesscast@gmail.com. All of that being said, let's get into the episode.
You find it comforting?
Sorry.
I'm recording. So
you go on.
Fire away.
Yeah.
Are you recording? I am recording.
Yeah.
Kevin, I can't remember. Have I gushed about the West Wing on this show over the last year and a half?
No, you've gushed about the West Wing during our entire friendship.
To you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, because I was just like, I got a message during the week and it was just like, don't you dare mention the West Wing on that podcast. I'm like, have I done it too much? Or
it's more. I was doing it.
I've loved it in the past.
Yes.
When I was working in Educate Together, which back in 2014 or something, I think, the people in the office, they were watching is it Borgen, the Danish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were big into that. I hadn't seen that yet, but the guy working beside me, he hated the West Wing because it was just too positive and everything. I was like, well, that's kind of the point, it's this kind of competency porn, like to see people be really
go to their job.
It's a very idealistic thing, and I could see where he's coming from, but I didn't agree with him. But that was 8 years ago, and I would find it so hard to watch now, is the thing, because it is it's gone from being idealistic. It's almost a satire of things are so dystopian now. It's just, it might as well be science fiction,
I know what you're saying. Yeah,
it's kind of a optimistic, idealistic thing to aim for, to being like, God, this is, and Sorkin is done worse stuff afterwards, and he's not the best guy himself as well. So
yeah, you start seeing the repetition of his themes and the repetition of his language, and the and the sexism, casual sexism, and then plot lines where women defend the casual sexism being directed towards them. Yeah, with his words. You know what I mean? It's my favorite show.
I don't get me wrong, I did love it at the time. I do think I didn't try to rewatch it in full, but I definitely tried watching kind of parts from it, and I couldn't do it.
I love it. It's just warm feelings.
I completely get it. Like it, and the dialogue still sings sometimes. He knows how to write those moments for sure.
But it's even the direction with it as well. I put up an Instagram story about John Spencer there during the week because Leo McGarry is one of my favourite characters, and it's the moment where they're he's in front of the grand jury, or they're doing the the president has just announced he's got MS, and they're turning on Leo, and they're going to potentially reveal that he'd slipped as an alcoholic, that he had fallen off the wagon at one point while in an important governmental role. And they take him in and they give him this kind of plea bargain thing. And it's just the way the direction works, his delivery, to the point of I take a bullet for the president, he doesn't take a bullet for me. Now, have you got anything else? And he says no. Then he gets up and he walks away. And there's a little bit of dialogue, but just the way that then feeds into the music building up. And he walks into camera and brings it into black. It's just beautifully directed, beautifully performed. And the music swell from Snuffy, was that the name of the composer? Snuffy something or other. It's such a funny name. Yeah.
It's like WG Snuffy or something. Walden G Snuffy or something like that.
G Snuffy. Yeah, so I mean, after Sesame Street, he grew up and went to college and became a composer. I am now talking about the Snuffleupagus.
That's weak. You should have left that one.
It's like, this is why I told him not to talk about West Wing.
I know, yeah. I'm sorry, Aidan or Kev.
It's alright.
You were right.
My dad used to watch it.
Yeah, I still watch it kind of critically, going like, where are the tropey things? Like, even there's an episode where the president gets some therapy, and it's like, I was like, it's season 3 of The West Wing. Was The Sopranos doing better numbers? When did The Sopranos come out? You know what I mean? It's like, how did this roll into... What was in the water in the late 90s that TV writers started putting characters through therapy? Like, was therapy just paying off for them? Or
I guess it was just a good narrative
had to
vehicle.
go through rehab because of their coke habit, and then probably had to do a bit of therapy as a result.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly part of it. They all like to do cocaine.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah, and that's it. And it feeds into then what you see on screen because they're talking about what they're doing in their life. Yeah. So I didn't really watch much movie or TV wise. I just had The West Wing on beside me most of this week. Like, I've been going to a class on Mondays that's going to culminate as a show in the Bewley's Theatre on Grafton Street, Monday the 19th. Come and see a whole bunch of mono scene improv. Tuesday, I did stand-up at the Black Sheep, N2O and Capel Street. The audience was 6 people and a dozen comics. It was still fun, but it was like a tiny, tiny audience. Wednesday... Wednesday I played Call of Duty and died a lot. Thursday was the work Christmas party. And then I went to a comedy show afterwards. I'm giving out Christmas cards. Did I show you the Christmas card?
Hey,
I showed you the drawings, but we did.
Brilliant.
We got the card.
Excellent.
And I'm giving these out to comedians and stuff that performed with the Bag of Cats. But the thing there is, I now have to go to comedy shows and find those motherfuckers because I don't have street addresses. Because who gets a street address in this day and age? Hey, can you perform with Bag of Cats? Give me your air code.
Do you mean home address?
Same thing, right?
No.
All right.
Or just address.
Fair enough. As opposed to email address.
Fair enough.
You know, we just say email, right?
Yeah, this is true. And Thursday was a fucking nightmare because I left Wigwam after that improv show at 11:30. And I'd missed the dart. So apparently the late darts are only happening on a Friday and a Saturday, which is, useful, I suppose, but it would be better if they put those things on longer, like till 1:30, like 2 extra hours of darts would be great. And I could not get a taxi. I spent 2.5 hours trying to hail a taxi. And
You would have been home if you just walked. I mean, you would have.
You're actually not wrong. Fuck.
Also, if you were really stuck, you could have just come to mine.
Like, if you're going to be out in the cold anyway, then, walking's better than standing.
Yeah, or just call me.
You're not wrong.
What time?
Actually, that was my other good deed of the week. The previous good deed got cut because it's work related. You're standing on a road and you have your arm out for a taxi and somebody comes and puts themselves 5 feet in front of you.
Not cool.
It's like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
But this woman...
I actually can't handle the stress of getting taxis. That's the kind of stuff is just...
That's why I have to live 20-minute walk from the centre of town.
But like a woman came and she was like in her coat and freezing and it was snowing at that point and she was just put herself in front of me and I was very sober and I was just watching her and she was just kind of pissed and she was like ducking under trees when there were no taxis because it was snowing and then coming back out and like it got so heavy at one point that I went under a tree and she was trying to get a taxi and came running back towards me. I was like, come on, we can do this. And I was like, okay, she's American or something. And she was chatting like...
Well, don't say that with the state.
Barely chatting, but I just got out of it. She's going to Rathfarnham. and a taxi pulled up in front of me and had the light on. And I said, "You free?" He said, "Where are you going?" "Dunleary." And he said, "I have a job in 10 minutes or 15 minutes. I wouldn't make it back." And I went,
Did he talk to
"Would you get to Rathfarnham?"
Uh,
And he went, "Yeah." And I put her in the taxi and then stood in the rain for another hour.
God bless you, Aidan. That was good of you.
So that's my good deed.
Yeah. Just less good because you pointed out in the podcast, but all right.
Yeah, I mean, truly good. If you just
God damn it, can't even fucking...
I did do something this week, but I can't remember what it was. I frequent the local comic book shops as I normally do. This week I wasn't able to get there on a Wednesday, which kind of puts me in a slight state of unease for a couple of hours.
Do you feel like you miss a book?
Yep, or I just feel like kind of like God, it's not part of it's not my routine, so I don't like it. But so I went there on Thursday, and I picked up a copy of Daniel Warren Johnson's issue number 7, the final issue of Do a Powerbomb, along with a few other books. And I had them in a bag, and I was chatting to the lads in Sub City, and then I just left, and I didn't bring my comic books with me. But I didn't realise that, and I'd spent the entire day looking for my comic books in the studio and really thinking like, where did I leave them? Did it fall out of my bag and all that kind of stuff? It's just one of those things that just, I don't know. It's just one of those things that was really baffling and just played in my mind for far too long. And I was really confused, And then Rich, one of the lads in the shop, texted me about another book and what writer was on the book and this and that, And then that was grand. I answered him, and then like kind of an hour or so later, I think I texted back and being like, by any chance, did I leave my comic books there? And I did. But they didn't tell me.
Well, that's...
It's just like...
he didn't tell you.
Guys, what the hell? But I went in there yesterday. I was like, thanks.
Yeah.
I went in there yesterday. I was like, thanks for babysitting my comics, guys. I'm out. But very
they were
funny.
trying to get you to double dip.
Double dip, yeah, imagine. Yeah. Not the dodge. Jesus, they don't have to try. I walk in there. It's terrible. I had to literally like just not go in with money intentionally because I'll buy shite. I feel like, I'm here, I may as well get something, but no.
I went in the other week and I bought... I haven't had a chance to read them yet, though. Fantastic Four Full Circle. It looks gorgeous. It looks beautiful. And I bought... because I just saw it on the shelf, I bought Superman 78.
Oh, yeah, great stuff. Yeah, the artwork, that's brilliant.
Yeah, Will Torres' stuff. It's beautiful.
Love it. He did Jupiter's Legacy.
It really is like a lovely line of like cartooned, caricatured, and like it's clearly Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
It's clearly Gene Hackman.
I love it.
But
It's like cartoon caricature, but realistic. But like comic book, he's great. You don't feel like he's just tracing a bunch of images. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like he's done the reference. He's learned to draw them. He's learned to.
Yeah, he did the homework. Yeah, it's great.
Get them from angles.
Yeah.
There's a Batman 89 as well.
Yeah, and
I missed that.
That also looks great.
Yeah.
Billy D. Williams is Two-Face. He
Two-Face.
must have been rumoured to play him at some stage, was he?
No, he was.
Oh, he's Harvey
cast.
Dent.
He
Yes,
played.
yeah.
Yeah. Like it was. Like I think it was in his contract. Like if Harvey Dent's back, it's Two-Face. Like he knew he was setting his.
Oh, so cool.
Little career.
Should have been.
I had heard that Keaton was going to do a Batman Beyond film, but it's now been cancelled.
That's like I was stood.
It'd be so perfect.
I was in 5th year in school, and we were talking about Keaton doing Batman Beyond. Actually, I think at that point we were saying Keaton for Batman Beyond, or like Clint Eastwood for The Dark Knight Returns. Like there was.
Norby always says that it should be old Arnold Schwarzenegger.
The thing is, old Arnold Schwarzenegger's too old at this point.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
yes, he has too much of an Austrian accent. But I do know what he's talking about, like that kind of older previous bodybuilder physique and stuff.
Yeah, I think Batman Beyond is too. It's a sure thing. It has to be a sure thing.
Yeah,
I think it whatever form it was in at Warner Brothers currently might be dead, but I see that coming back.
It'd be fools not to do it, I think.
Yeah, I don't think that would be Terry McGinnis. I think it would be Lucian Fox's son.
Interesting. Is that in the comics?
Are
they an alt Batman Beyond?
I know he is a Batman.
His son is a Batman. Yeah,
he's cool looking.
that could work. Yep.
Yeah, I'd imagine
is he
so. It
single?
would make more sense.
The yellow suit?
Yeah, he has the yellow suit kind of in one stuff, but he doesn't in another.
Signal, isn't it?
Yeah, but like, I think he did play at some stage a Batman.
No, he did for sure.
He had a full face cowl.
It's so much cool stuff done in the animated series, and Batman Beyond has this arc that's like, was it in the Justice League Unlimited they ultimately did that Batman Beyond?
They kind of retconned it.
Origin? Yeah. Like,
I like it.
I like
works.
it. Like, the argument is,
Especially for that
it's too
universe
much.
anyway, at least.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know that.
Yeah, it worked.
So they...
The short version, please.
Terry McGinnis is Bruce Wayne's son.
Oh, okay.
Through Amanda Waller and Cadmus and various stuff. Sorry, I'm talking over you. Sorry.
No. It's grand. It just kind of ties back in because they... I'm trying to remember the episode that we got to this point that we have this flashback, because Terry's obviously estranged from Bruce or something in it, and over the course of the episode, he goes to visit like an older Amanda Waller, and she reveals to him that at a certain point she noticed Bruce starting to slip, the age catching up with him, and went, the world needs a Batman, there must always be a Batman. So after an injury or something, she got a bit of his blood and basically it wasn't a clone. They impregnated somebody. They switched.
It's his mum, but what they injected his dad with a nano virus thing so that it would be
to change his genetic material. Yeah.
It was basically it was Batman's semen, but it'd be his dad was like the host for it.
Yes.
So his mum was his mum and his dad was just the host for the Bruce Wayne DNA.
Well, I think that's a bit.
So he is Bruce's genetic son. Also.
Well, I think that's a bit bullshit.
But there's this moment where she gets to then all I had to do was wait until he grew up, and I sent a family to the theater, and he needed some tragedy, and you see the setup for her about to kill Terry's parents, and it's the Phantasm from Mask of the Phantasm. She's there ready to like off this kid's parents, and she won't do it, and it's this abandoned project. You should check that episode out. It's great.
It's a great episode.
And it's the one where we've got the flashback to Bruce talking the girl
Royal
on the
Flush
sling.
Gang. Yes, isn't it?
Isn't that in that?
It's great.
Oh, is that the one where she's on the
remember.
swing?
I think it is. But I actually, they're definitely close. I think I could be wrong. It's been a while since I watched them, but because that one is set in a kind of a future, so it would make sense if it was the same episode.
But if you're then doing Batman Beyond, then you kind of open the door for this stuff, and they have held on to Amanda Waller in that universe, so it'd be cool to see like an older Amanda Waller. But how badly do you think they would overcomplicate the Phantasm costume?
I'd imagine that I don't even know if they'd keep all of it in is the thing, you know.
Yeah. She'd just be a woman that creates smoke.
I don't even know if they'd keep it in. I think they would just say that, you know, she kind of had planned to do this. They could leave out the tragedy part, you know. They could just say that, you know, she was going to monitor him and kind of guide him towards a certain route, and then this thing just happened anyway. No, I think it's crazy that they haven't gone near it. Especially, like, you know, studios are always fucking cribbing off each other. You know, the second they see is it true that like that Marvel did that like market research when they were looking at which toy kids would like to play with the most of a character? Essentially that like Iron Man was like the most marketable toy apparently. And that's the reason they went with him first. I don't know if there's any truth in that, but essentially of the properties they had and looking to maximize like how much money they can make from it. So not just the box office receipts, but, you know, merchandise and stuff. And supposedly they did some kind of focus group with kids, and Iron Man made for the best toy because kids like
the robots and
mechanical
you
kind
can
of
change
stuff.
the costume. And
And out of Thor, Captain America and Iron Man, that's the reason apparently we got Iron Man first, because
interesting.
I don't know if there's any truth in that, but if there is any truth in that, and Warner Brothers are looking at the success of Iron Man, they'd have to be asking, what do we have that's
Yeah.
mechanical? What guys in metal suits do we have?
Blue Beetle. And Terry McGinnis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the Blue Beetle storyline is going to be very,
Spider-Man, Iron Man.
very Batman Beyond.
Is it? Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it is.
What I was going to say to you, but yeah, no, that doesn't at all surprise me if Marvel did kind of take that approach to the movie, because realistically they would have to look at their properties
would make
and be
sense,
like,
yeah.
which is the most viable, like which will sell the most merch. X.
This thing,
They always made
the
cartoons
Iron
to
Man,
sell toys, you know.
the Iron Man trailer was huge. It just arrived at the right time. We were just after Transformers, where CGI had reached this kind of photorealism level for objects and surfaces and stuff. So we just had Transformers. Iron Man made perfect sense. Like, do you remember how popular that trailer was?
Yeah.
It was huge
And
because Iron Man
it's
looked so
Adi Granov's
fucking cool.
redesign
Yeah.
as well. Like Adi Granov took the like Iron Man's suit was fabric for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, I know.
It was
Yeah.
it's supple metal, and he found a middle ground between Brian Hitch's Ultimates, like guy in a Transformers tank, and
Makes
the
heavily
supple
anime
thing.
inspired.
Yeah.
I don't think it gets enough credit because those guys do. They've
The
been doing
Ultimates one?
good mecha. No, just the Adi Granov.
Oh sure,
Like
yeah.
like it. They like there's mecha in Japanese anime that looks like it would function in the real world. You know, so like he took a lot of. Like he's great. It was great.
But he brought that sweet spot
I don't think it gets
anyway
mentioned
to
enough.
Iron Man.
Yeah, he did.
And I think that's like, I feel some of that's been lost with the fact that they feel they need to advance the suit every film. It's like, oh, it's advanced. It's like, that's one of the things with superhero movies I don't quite understand is it's just toys. I know it's toys, but it's like, why do we have to change the costume every movie? It's just toys.
Yeah, that's it. But like,
Especially like the nanomachine thing. The only purpose it serves in the films is convenience in terms of how do we get him into this suit. You know, whereas like the whole point of watching this stuff is to see, you know,
The suit,
like put them in cool situations, but to see superheroes do fucking cool shit. It can still, like, you know, his suit is an impossibility anyway. So like for it to be this, I don't know, I just really don't like the scene in Infinity War where it's just liquid kind of going over him. And like I understand I like the fact that he can improvise weaponry and stuff, but visually it just looks rubbish. Like there's I'm trying to think. There's a couple of video games, Japanese video games, and definitely anime where I'm trying to think of a good example, but they sort of have this technology and it's almost extra dimensional, but like the weapon they have can like change to any sort of configuration, and it's kind of geometrical and it's kind of made of blocks and stuff, and it's cool, you know.
Yeah.
And that would have made much more sense because his weapons
Well,
would be
is that kind of
transforming,
like,
whereas instead he just has this liquid kind of go over him and it turns into stuff, and it's just they've really. I think there's a reason, you know, Captain America overtook him in terms of popularity, because the coolest thing about him was always how kind of real and kind of practical his stuff looked, and the less mechanical it started to look, I think the less interesting the character became on screen.
Fair.
In the action set pieces and stuff.
I like the progression of his armor in the sense of it being more like mobile, and like he could press a button on his wrist, and like you know, basically like I think the liquidy nano stuff a little bit too much, but I think if he'd press a button and it kind of like the suitcase in Iron Man 2 was great, you know, how he kind of got it down to a little portable suitcase, and I think
it needs to be shorter. The sequence needs to be shorter, but it was very cool.
It does need to be shorter, but yeah, I think if they made it more in that route of like kind of like you could press a button and all of a sudden like all the pieces just like jetpacked their way in.
I think the kind of sweet spot for it was Civil War, probably, you know.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, because it was still very mechanical at that stage, but like super evolved, I guess, you know. I suppose Armor Wars. I suppose that will go back to mechanical.
I would like to see it, though. I suppose Riri Williams' stuff was kind of in that area.
Riri's was very anime also.
Yeah, I wasn't mad on that design.
Apparently, like, not a popular comic book character at all. Like, really narcissistic, really selfish, really arrogant, really obnoxious. But, like, I guess it's people trying to write, like, a character like Iron Man, who had, like, say, 60 years to kind of become a bit of a narcissist. I just, like, kind of do it in a quicker way and kind of to a point. Do you know what I mean? But, because I watched...
Yeah, I think there's an element if you go read, especially the way Stanley added dialogue to those comics. If you go read those 60 ones as well, it's like, shut up, you fool, I'm walking here. It's very direct and for children, you know, and broad strokey. I don't know. Like, comics are, at this point, are, you know, market research for films.
Yeah.
I remember, you know, that movie, it's not my favorite Pixar movie at all, but Cars. Like,
I've heard of it.
When I finally got Cars, it was like, I remember the trailer and seeing the movie, and then I went into a toy shop and I went, oh, I get it. Every kid gets given a toy car, and now they get given a Disney toy car. You know, like, they've become the default toy car to give to a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's hilarious. It's like, it used to be like a Mickey Mouse, you know, kind of corner the toy market for the 20th century a bit for children, you know. And it's like, oh, you got cars now.
Speaking of Disney, I watched episodes 1, 2, and 3 of Willow.
I haven't seen the third one. How are you enjoying it?
I'm really enjoying it. Warwick David can't act, but the rest of it, good.
Okay.
Nah.
That headline from when the first episode came out is harsh.
What was that?
It was something to the effect of Willow's good fun, and then Warwick shows up and it's bad. Like, very much just saying he's the worst thing in it, and it's bad because he's in it. It's like, ouch.
Yeah, nah, that's cruel.
That is harsh.
Because I like seeing him on it. Like, you know, obviously, you know, it wouldn't be Willow without Willow, but and I do like seeing him in it. And he's not too unlike the little kind of like character he was in the first one, you know. But because he was so young in the first one.
Yeah, I only just saw that that headline was around his way. He was 17 in that movie.
Was it? He looks even younger. I wouldn't have thought him as an older
Don't
teenager.
say it. Don't you dare say it.
Why? What's he going to say, Brian?
You know what he's going to say.
Something about his small height. Aiden. Disappointed.
No, I was going to say that he's been hanging around with Ricky Gervais too much, doing impressions of Ricky, and it's probably hurt the acting.
No, maybe he just, you know, but maybe it's a lot of pressure to come back and do this role. Anyways,
but even that preview trailer they did for it, where they're like the behind the scenes thing, and he's doing a walk around introducing all the actors, like that's pure.
I know,
you know, Gervais shtick.
But I know, I do love it. Even if he's not the greatest actor in it, because Emer doesn't think he's bad, but it's just like sometimes he'd be like, "Come on," or he'd be like, "Come on, we gotta go in a real hurry now. We gotta go." Like, hey, we can't stand around. We gotta go. And it's just like, you could have said it with like any sort of variable in your tones, any sort of nuance anywhere there would have done you a lot of favors. But no, he's good. Like, as in, like, it's great to see him on screen again, and I'm really enjoying Willow. And it's there's I don't want to say too much, but basically there's a reveal. Obviously, there's a reveal at one stage, and I wasn't expecting it necessarily, and I didn't really like it. But anyways. But it's good.
It is fun. I think some of the language is too Americanized. I don't feel like that was the case in the original Willow.
It's really weird when there's like this awesome armor, and you know, if you don't do it there, we're gonna kick its ass, and it's just like, what?
Yeah. So there's a fair amount of very sort of Americanized language in it, and American accents. If I go back and watch it, if I go back and watch Willow, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's present there. I mean, maybe Val Kilmer wasn't doing a sort of mid-Atlantic, non-distinct kind of European thing. I don't know, but I also think that Willow had this, like, okay, it's film stock of the 80s or whatever, but it had a grainy and a grubbiness and a grittiness to it. And everybody's costume is very shiny and polished and new looking in this. And maybe again, that's just a case of, you know, they are the high upper class royals in it, so maybe their shit looks new. I'm just quibbling with production design. You know, it's still fun watching it. But there is one point, I think, in the second episode where we see Willow visiting. I can't remember the name of the town, but he's walking around this little courtyard, and he's got a tunic, and the tunic is denim, and it's got like they've done a sort of double breast front on it, so it's got buttons, but it's clearly like a mid-length denim jacket, like a Wrangler thing, and they've just sort of like used the fabric and doubled it over a bit, put a belt around it, but they haven't like cut off the trim on the bottom, so it's still got that like 1-inch stitching with the little buckles, so it's clearly a jacket,
a repurposed jacket. Yeah,
repurposed.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you're going to use that as your inspiration,
hide it
and a template or something, it's like you could like, because that like bottom inch where it's got little fasteners and stuff is pretty distinct.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment I looked at that and went, is that a denim jacket? And then he turned around, I'm like, oh shit, it really is, you know.
I like Borman.
Is he the guy with the big
sword
axe thing?
Yeah, Borman is the prisoner at the start.
He's fun.
He's cool. I like obviously
kind of filling in for the Mad Mardigan kind of
vibe.
vibe.
Yeah, sure, he is. He's meant to be his best friend type of thing, like, so he is. And I like they were in Captain America and the Winter Soldier, or Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Sorry.
Yeah, she's in Rogue. No, she's in the Han Solo thing as well. I always forget her name. The redhead girl played the Flag Smasher.
Yeah.
Do you remember it, Brian?
I'm blanking on her name, but yeah.
Yeah. Erin something. It is Erin something. Erin Kellyman.
Speaking of Ryan Reynolds,
yeah,
I watched. He was in a movie called Just Friends.
Oh.
With and it's a Christmas movie, and it's a great Christmas movie, and his co-star in that movie is in another film with Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell called The 12 Dates of Christmas, and I watched it this week. It's a Groundhog's Day type scenario, and it's awful.
Is it new?
No.
Who's in it?
No.
Who's the lead?
The lead. That's what I'm trying to say. The lead actor was the co-lead in because Anna Faris is in Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds, and then the kind of the romantic lead in the movie is in this movie 12 Dates. The romantic lead in the movie in this movie is her name is Amy Smart. Amy Smart, who you would recognize in things, is in this movie 12 Dates of Christmas with Zachary Morris from Saved by the Bell. And
are you thinking from? Well, maybe I'm wrong.
You thinking
Just
what?
Friends? Are you thinking of the guy who shows up and plays the guitar throughout the house? Like he? Am I wrong?
Brian? I hear Brian. I think I left all my crayons to explain things in your house.
No, because you said Zach Morris. The guy who played Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell. But I don't remember him in Just Friends at all.
Yeah, he's not in Just Friends. No one said he was in Just Friends.
He's not in Just Friends. It's the lady in Just Friends.
Amy Smart, the lady in Just Friends,
is also in the film with Zach Morris.
Yes. 12 Dates of Christmas. See, this is what happens when you show up drunk.
No.
This
I'm
is what
going to
happens
go
when
back
you
and get
show
this
up
fucking
drunk.
recording.
Oh, no. I got him straight away. This is on you. You go back and listen to this. It's very clear what he meant.
Brian, did I say something wrong?
Very clear. No, not at all.
But
Aiden just needs to open his fucking ears and listen.
Would you say like Aiden should stop gaslighting me?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And just start listening a bit more, I think.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian.
Okay.
No, I saw Emily Ratajkowski on Seth Meyers last night, and she was saying, like, crucial thing in good podcasts is listening. She's saying, like, a lot of hosts don't listen.
Yes, Aiden. And
she just likes listening to people, and I think she's 100% right.
Interesting.
110%.
Interesting.
Is Emily Ratajkowski podcasting?
She is. Her name's not hard. Don't pretend
What's she
it's hard.
podcasting about?
Her name is Easy.
Is she talking about Marvel movies? Can we get her on as a guest?
Yes, she actually is.
You could give her a shout. Like, you missed 100% of shots you don't take. I'll do it. I don't care.
I mean, she's technically from Cork, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah, Brian, you have been in. You could be like, hey, fed up going to the Irish heritage. Yeah.
We could be related. Come on my podcast
Yeah.
and go out with me.
No, no one wants to date her. Sure, she has a boyfriend.
I think they broke up because he was cheating on her.
Oh, who was that? Who was?
Dirtbag. I don't know. Some
I thought
dickhead.
I thought they were dating someone.
Wasn't she seen with Pete Davidson recently?
But yeah, so 12 dates of Christmas before Aidan fucking stops listening again. 12 Dates of Christmas with it was a Groundhog Day type movie.
Okay.
And do you know where like a Groundhog Day type movie, like initially like you see the repetitive until the person kind of gets it, and then they kind of start to try and change things and do things and all that kind of stuff. This movie was so weird. It was like, you know, it would do that whole repetitive stick of waking up and waking up and waking up and stuff. And then she'd start doing what you think is right. And then there'd be like 4 or 5 days in a row where she just does the same type of stuff over and over again. It was a terrible Groundhog Days movie. It did not make sense. But a great Christmas movie all the same.
I mean, even Groundhog Day itself is, you know, not great.
I just use that
Think about it.
as a kind of descriptive word for the type of movie it is. But I've not seen Groundhog Day in a long time. But that's just what I call all of these movies, the Groundhog Day stuff.
It's a really great, I think it's by Pop Culture Detective. Does a good video essay on Groundhog Day and why it's not cute or romantic.
Well, I do remember all the suicide attempts and stuff being pretty bleak when I was a kid, and that scared me.
There's worse than that. I've upset Aiden, I can tell.
I can't remember. I have not watched a movie since it came out.
I can see somebody having grounds to feel that way about that movie.
They're right, though.
I like that movie, and I don't want to fight about it.
You're a piece of shit. And so is Bill Murray.
Who is a piece of shit?
Bill Murray.
But who?
Me.
Aiden's a piece of shit, and so is Bill Murray. I understand. Yeah, Bill Murray.
No, I just said Bill Murray.
Oh, okay.
You inferred.
Well, Brian, I'm sorry for misinterpreting you. That's my bad. That's not me.
No, I said Aiden did.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. Aiden's
terrible.
Aiden, you need to cop on a bit, to be fair.
Putting words in my mouth.
He's like, I'm too hungover for this.
Onto him, so
Speaking of so anyways, there you go. Ryan Reynolds, co-star Amy Smart in a great little terrible Christmas movie.
Great little terrible.
Where can I see 12 Dates of Christmas?
You can watch on, I think 12 Days of Christmas was on Disney Plus or Netflix. Another Christmas movie I watched this year was Falling for Christmas with Lindsay Lohan.
Okay. That's Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What happens in that?
So, right. I have no disdain or dislike for Lindsay Lohan at all. If anything, I feel empathy for her. And I wish Lindsay Lohan the best. And watching this movie, in part, were kind of sad. But also, okay, I'll be really honest with you. This movie was bad. And a lot of the time I was watching it, I kind of just felt sorry for her. It's just like, oh, poor Lindsay. Like, she's had it tough, you know. And I did feel sorry for her. And she was giving the movie a good effort. And there's even a part where they're in a car. She's in a car with her fiance, and they're listening to music, and they change the station. And the song that came up, do you know the Mean Girls, the one that she sings on stage for Christmas? That's on the radio, and she starts kind of doing a little bop and a sing to it and stuff in the movie, and it's like, oh, God bless her. Like that's clearly just her doing her little throwback. Like, and it's a nice little touch in the movie, to be fair, you know. But it's a terrible movie. Speaking of Christmas movies, another one I watched, Night Before Christmas.
A rewatch, or have you never seen it?
No, of course I've seen it loads of times. I watched it again. It's a great movie though. So much fun. So much fun. It's just great. Go on, ruin it.
People forget, or people associate that movie very definitely with Tim Burton.
I know, yeah, it's not at all really, is
but
it?
it's Henry Selick directed that film.
Yeah, and then Danny Elfman did the voice of Jack, wasn't it?
Well, he did all the music. I don't know who did the
music.
voice.
Don't know who did the voice.
Did he?
Don't know. I thought he did for some reason.
No, he did. Actually, I can't remember.
But what I was about to
sure,
get to was, it's just during the week that I realised, or re-realised, the Addams Family is very intrinsically associated with Tim Burton.
Is it?
Those 90s movies?
Were they directed by him?
No.
No.
I don't.
But am I nuts? They're pretty associated with it.
Okay, look, people might do, dude. I don't.
Barry Sonnenfeld.
Yeah,
They would be, yeah, like it's very much, and that's the thing, like a lot of his style was just very much a 90s thing.
Yeah.
But he gets a lot of
Credit for it.
Yeah.
credit for it. People just assume it was all him. But it was a very, very 90s aesthetic and style. You know, there's music videos from so many bands that, you know, had nothing to do with Burton.
Yeah.
And were kind of around before him that all have that kind of aesthetic.
But like I was going to say, like even like I'm sure you guys have seen it, like, but it's like there's a whole load of like 90s indie comics and like, you know, just all stuff that stem from that kind of era aesthetically and stuff. And then like you'd imagine they're all like inspired by Tim Burton or like influenced by Tim Burton and stuff. And then we actually look at Tim Burton's sketches versus their sketches. It's just like Tim Burton's stuff is shit in comparison, you know. But no, I wouldn't have associated Addams Family and Tim Burton now, to be fair.
No?
No, not myself personally, no. Because they're creepy.
I'm trying to wonder where I got this.
I always got confused though, like, but it's like everything is. It's like Coca-Cola and Pepsi. It's like the Addams Family and the Munsters. I think I actually watched more of the Munsters growing up because I don't know if they recolorized it or it was a newer show or something. But watch a good bit of the Munsters and then obviously just the Addams Family movies.
Well, they've revisited those things a lot along the way. You know, there's the old Addams Family, the black and white that you can get.
Yeah.
There's definitely a 90s TV show that's in colour. Same with Addams Family or Munsters, though I feel like that might be a sort of late 70s colour version rather than a 90s. Maybe they did a 90s one as well.
Maybe
it was definitely a 90s, 80s and 90s one for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe I'm thinking of the Addams Family,
Definitely
but I thought it was the Munsters that I would have watched a lot of because one of them basically see the Addams Family. I think the Munsters have Lurch and the Addams Families don't.
Addams Family has Lurch.
Addams Family's Lurch, yeah.
Is it? And then which one?
The Munsters.
Then the Munsters don't have Lurch then.
No.
Yeah, because that's the whole thing. It's like one of them. They're both very similar, but one has a Lurch and one doesn't. The Addams Family has Lurch then. Yeah, as far as I remember, anyways.
I'm just trying to see. Because the guy that played, what was his name? Herman Munster. I always remember that he's a judge in My Cousin Vinny.
All right, okay.
Fred Gwynn. It must have been a colorized version.
Some
Of the Munsters.
Yeah. I just
Yeah,
see
there was
two
like
seasons.
there was a 80s to 90s version
okay.
of the Munsters.
That's what I must remember mostly then.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that somewhere?
Yeah.
Yeah, our intern told them.
Okay. Emily, she's learning about podcasting.
There was a 1966 Munsters film,
Uh-huh.
but then there was no Munsters Today, which was from... Yeah, so there was the 60s sitcom, and then there was a show in the 80s and 90s
Okay.
as well.
Okay. And what about the Addams Family?
I think the Addams Family was a little earlier. And then the film reboot in the 90s.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Yeah, I heard somebody, again, I don't know where I get things, but they were saying that the Addams Family was like a parody of sort of 1890s Georgian Victorian high society, you know, East Coast aristocracy type of thing, more so than the Munsters, which is
Actual monsters. Yeah.
actual monsters. Yeah, so it's more these are creepy aristocrats than
Yeah. I have to say though,
spooks.
I always loved the Addams Family, and I even think the one where Uncle Fester gets married to
and Family Values. It's great.
yeah, great movie. And you what's one's name?
Joanna Arquette.
No, Cusack.
Cusack. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mixed up I merged Patricia Arquette and
Hey, it's okay. You're
Joan Cusack.
Yeah, but yeah, Joan Cusack's in it. She's always great. I took, like, to be honest, I didn't understand her as a child. If you get me, like, I would see her in things and she would like freak me out, or I didn't like her and stuff. As an adult and stuff, it's like anything I see her in, and even when I didn't like her as a kid, when I watch her now and stuff, it's just like, oh, she's so good. She's probably the best thing of most of the movies she's in, to be fair. Because I think I was creeped out by her in the Robin Williams movie Toys.
That's a strange movie.
Yes, so yeah, she creeped me out in that, to be honest. And I
should we watch Toys and talk about it?
We can do, yeah. I haven't watched that in donkeys.
What a strange film.
But yeah, she creeped me out in that, I think, and that kind of made me made me afraid of her as a child, you know.
Right.
But
I think you're supposed to be. Yeah, she's
odd in it, isn't
terrifying.
she? Yeah, but she's great. She's great. She's great. Anyways. But yeah, don't know how we got onto that. But yeah.
This is a Wanderly one for sure.
I watched Only Murders in the Building.
Okay.
Brian,
2 seasons?
Brian's seen it as well. Have you seen any of it, Brandon?
I saw like the first 4 episodes.
I thought you'd really like it. It's really over the top theatrical
I've seen all
humor.
of it.
I think it's great. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I don't know why it didn't work for me, but I'll give it another
I think
look.
I had a different expectation for what it was going to be at first. I was thinking about this back when I watched the second season, so I've forgotten now exactly. I'm trying to remember, but I think you talk away there. I'll try to remember what it was.
Okay.
Kind of put my finger on about what
I liked season 1 an awful lot. I think season 1 was great. Season 2, to be honest, like kind of, okay, maybe like this. Like the thing with this show is like it's so ridiculous, it's an over the top. You have to just kind of like any sort of logic out of the way, like because like they're all so silly and so crazy, you know. Like even like, you know, something could be as plain as day and they're just not seeing it, and like everybody else knows obviously he's put it together, but you know, it's like they're all this like silly, goofy characters, you know. But it's so much fun, and the episodes have as much laughs every episode like that's last season and all that kind of stuff. I would say, and it's just one of those shows that I know that I may be biased when I talk about it to a degree, because it just really kind of tickles my sense of humor, and I know that might not be. I basically I laugh at the bad jokes in this. Do you know what I mean? I really like Steve Martin.
I think what it was for me was I'd prefer if they were listening to a podcast about a murder and then inserting themselves in it and trying to solve it.
Yeah.
As opposed to them making their own podcast. Because that part of it never really figures into it.
Yeah. Not anymore, no.
You know, because I like it's so heavily inspired by Serial, and like I remember when that came out 8 years ago, like the first season of that. The buzz around it wasn't just the actual episodes themselves. It was the fact that everybody was listening to it, everybody was talking about it, and like, you know, trying to solve it in real time, and like talking about, you know, everybody was kind of flip flopping on whether he was innocent or guilty, and like a couple of times an episode, you know, like so beyond just the story and like the quality of that podcast, there was that element to it. And when I heard the pitch for this, when it was, you know, 3 people living in a building drawn together by their love of a podcast, I thought that was going to be it, and I thought it'd be more interesting if it was that. And then instead they're making their own podcast, but they never really do. It's dressing. Like they're never actually making the podcast, and they're rarely actually talking.
You don't
about
get to see the hard work of podcasting. You don't get to see the editing, the marketing. But you're
ruining what I'm saying. Stop it. No. But yeah, like even if it was them making a podcast about a thing happening to them, and I'm not saying like the actual, like I don't mean like literally the kind of nitty gritty, but they're always just kind of like stumbling from one thing to the next, which is fine, but it doesn't really need the whole podcast element, basically, you know. You could take that out of the show. It could just them being the fact that there's 3 murders basically that have kind of happened around them that they just happen to be in stretches kind of credibility anyway. So like, why does it doesn't need the podcast angles in the first place? And I would have liked, again, if it was them instead listening to a podcast and, you know, picking up on clues in it and actually doing detective stuff, because there's very little actual detective stuff in the show. They just kind of, like I said, it things happen around them, and they just kind of, it's more of a farce, and it's fine. But when I kind of first heard the pitch for it, and when I knew who was involved, it's like, okay, that's cool. And I think the most interesting aspect of it is that kind of, there's a real sense of intrigue when you're listening to something like that, because somebody else is kind of conjuring this picture of a thing that's already happened, and you feel like you're diving deeper and deeper into a mystery. And I think that's again, just beyond the kind of quality journalism of a thing, that's what it kind of casts a spell. You're listening to this thing, it's just you and your headphones or whatever way you're listening to it, you're falling asleep to it, but there's a real mystery to it. And I think that would be a cool premise for a show if there was, people drawn together for, their same love of a thing, which is what happens in the pilot. And then for them to kind of go solve it, basically. But also listening in each time and have it, have things kind of be recreated and stuff. Whereas instead it's...
I also felt it was like, I thought it was just too slow moving for me in terms of what they were like when they would reveal something to us, it was like this slow camera pan around a place to get to something. It just, I've watched enough like Desperate Housewives and CW shows that have a mystery thing. That's what's keeping me away from Wednesday, is I don't want to be presented a mystery that doesn't get solved after 10 episodes.
Wednesday is fucking somebody's trying to take an existing property and graft Harry Potter onto it.
Yeah,
is kind of what I felt like.
I can't, like, I've seen enough sort of social media stuff to get.
I haven't been able to get through the pilot, but everybody seems to have superpowers or some like kind of quirky, X-Men type power. I couldn't get through it. It's funny given what you said about the Addams Family, just supposed to be like a grotesque kind of thing. But in this, it's like, oh no, they've got, she's psychic and her friend is cat claws. Somebody else has scales. It's like, that's okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of got way beyond where it started.
Yeah.
I do like, this speaks to just how blind I am, and I never thought about it, but when they pointed out the fact that like it's a Latino family, it's like, yeah, I guess it is Gomez Addams, and like I'd never sort of looked at the ethnicity of the Addams family in any way, and then casting Jenna Ortega and what's his name? Luis Guzman, thank you. I was trying to like, they put a statue up for him in Community. He does a little guest part.
Oh, Gomez Addams.
Yeah, Luis Guzman.
Yeah.
It's like I guess I never looked at them as anything other than like spooky monster people with like, and even Raul Julia in the 90s version.
But I mean, even then though, I mean, not that I care, but his first name's Gomez.
Yeah, is Addams.
Not is Addams. Yeah, again.
Yeah.
Wait, what's up?
Yeah.
Not that it matters. Aiden was to point out that he kind of never made the connection between it being a Latino family.
Oh, okay.
And it's cool to see them cast Ortega and Guzman and Zeta Jones. And then Raul Julia, who presumably is of
Hispanic descent?
Brazilian, possibly?
I'm going to look this up because
Anyway, my point was that
Puerto Rican.
His first name was Gomez.
Yes.
Not his second name was Addams.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
but it's supposed to be, I don't know. I don't care.
I think what I find interesting, I guess, about it is that like there's been this element on the table, whether or not it's intentional, and somebody has spotted it, and it's like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, I don't know that there's anything to be done with it, but it's nice to have that in the mix.
But I was going to say, and I don't put it up in the podcast, but someone did like if the Adam family were minorities post, and did them all as black people, but they did Cousin It as just kind of like straight long black hair, and it's just like they should have done him as a giant afro. That would have been way better. If you're going to make them the black equivalent of them, you know. But like I said, don't put that in the podcast because that might be seen as.
I think I think that's a pretty straight like mislead or a play with expectations there, because people would expect the fro thing.
Yeah, but they just give a black hair. It wasn't the same.
Well, look, now I'm into, have you watched Chris Rock's movie about the hair industry and African American culture and like relaxers designed to like
Well, I know
hair.
all about that, but I'm just anyways, like let's not get into it. It was just a side note.
Yeah. Cousin, it's all weave.
Yeah.
It's basically what
I
I'm
know,
getting
but
at.
it's just not as good. Poorly executed.
Watched any other Christmas movies, Kevin?
Can't think of any, man, to be honest.
You're some son of a bitch.
No. Completely escapes me.
Okay. Brian, I saw a couple of headlines from the Games Awards stuff. You were breaking up for us there a minute ago. I think you might have connection issues. Cause
Who?
Kevin. He said I was breaking up.
Oh yes, there you go. You're back now.
Yeah. Death Stranding 2?
Death Stranding 2, working title.
Is it Death Stranding 2 or is it?
It is
a
Death
new
Stranding
game
2,
with
but
your man
it's
in
Death
it?
Stranding 2. It is a sequel, but that is a working title. The title may change, or there might be a subtitle or something added. But it is Death Stranding.
First one good, Brian. I heard it's very boring.
No, I like it. I do like it. I would kind of warn people what to expect going into it, but it wasn't the game I expected at all. I stuck with it though, and like when you get into the kind of core mechanic of it, it was very, very satisfying, very kind of addicting. But I kind of promised myself this time around that I'm not going to get sucked into. He loves to tease details out. He
Build
likes to
hype
be
out.
very cryptic.
Yeah, don't buy into the hype of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of haven't been like he's been teasing for a while. He's been like posting headshots of like actors he's
Readers.
working with now,
Right.
and like they're kind of completely in silhouette, and people were like guessing just based on like the silhouette which actresses they were. And they kind of successfully kind of figured it out, and I just wasn't getting into.
Is Gus from Breaking
any
Bad
of
in it?
that. Gus,
Isn't he the chicken guy
don't think so.
who's in everything now? Yeah,
Yeah.
surprise.
Don't think he's in it. He's in the latest Far Cry game. I
Okay.
think.
Yes, yeah, he is.
It's just a matter of time before he's everywhere. Oh, I like him.
But like he was starting to kind of like build up the hype for it, and I was just like, I'm
I'm not doing this again.
like the trailers for the
Alphonse?
first Death Stranding were so crazy.
I know, they look great.
They were fantastic.
Yeah.
The game is good, but there is real disconnect between what's in those trailers and what's
The
actually
game is about.
in the game.
So, like,
And what the game's about, and the thing he really didn't need to be as secretive about the story as he was, because it just
Not really
doesn't
important.
like it really isn't. Yeah, especially when the game is so focused on
I get the sense of like, I haven't played it enough, but when I've heard people talk about the sort of delivering mechanic or the concept of it, I do think
Yep.
about like 80s arcade games that's like moving shit from A to B. It's just sort of scaled up. Like it's a very
Yeah.
mechanical puzzle type of game, more so than like it's got crazy high-end graphics and great actors and whatever involved and a skin of narrative over it. But at the end of the day, it's like games I used to
But
play on my
even-
PC where
even
I
that
would
is
use a
kind of
little
fine.
bulldozer
It's the
to move
fact
a
that-
rock.
for me, like there was a kind of a disconnect between the narrative and the actual game. It really like they never feel like they're kind of joined up. It honestly feels like it's cutting to a different thing, and then you're back to the game, and then
Yeah.
they really do not feel like they're kind of aligned or from the same thing. I was kind of disappointed because there's so much great imagery, and there was so much potential for the story to be something really bizarre and out there, and he seems to have like crafted all the necessary details, but then a lot of it is just it's not even kind of told in flavor text. It's just like background stuff. And even if you were to kind of go read all of it, it doesn't really enhance or amplify the game you're playing. It feels very disconnected. For me anyway, it did. The game itself is really kind of focused on, you know, you've got so many fetch quests in games these days, and they're very linear. You're literally taking a thing from one place to another. But in this game, it said, okay, what if we expand upon that? What if we actually make the getting there and planning getting there the mechanics? So you've got to you've got to try guess what you're going to need to make the trip to the place. You're like, am I going to need ropes? Do I need ladders? Do I need to climb stuff? How much weight can I carry? And you're doing all this kind of stuff, and it is really satisfying to like kind of say, okay, here's the package, here's what I can make, here's what I can take with me. Oh, I can make motorbikes now, so I can load certain stuff on the motorbike, and all that stuff is cool. Bits of it are clunky, kind of don't work, but the game itself I did enjoy. But I promised myself that I wasn't going to get sucked in kind of this time around. The trailer came out and I was just instantly, I was like, oh fuck, it just looks...
Yeah, but it's like every time this guy does it, this, you know.
I'm still holding back. I know now to kind of temper my expectations. I hope he's kind of learned to kind of correct some of the clunky stuff. I hope he adds some of the interesting stuff that was kind of hinted at. I hope that stuff is in it. But that aside, the trailer is just fucking great. Like just the opening shot of it's just like, I was instantly like, what's that? What is that? What does that mean? What's that about? And then just one image after another. Also his technology. Like I don't know how much of it is him, or I mean obviously it's a lot of the team he's working with, but I don't know if he's retained the same people through like the Metal Gear 2 days or what, but he's working with the same tools as everybody else is. He's got the same budget as all the other AAA studios. I don't know what it is that he's doing. Again, it must be his team as well, but I don't know. Have you seen the trailer for it yet?
No,
I haven't seen the trailer. No, I just saw pictures.
Check it out. It is. There are shots in there that I just don't understand. Like he's got the same motion capture technology as everybody else, and it's just like, what is he doing?
How is he doing this differently? Yeah, what is the sense that's making this? Yeah.
So my expectations are kind of tempered a bit more this time. I liked the first game enough that I'm definitely going to check this out. But
there was so much coming from, so much weight on Kojima after he left or after he was ousted from. Did he leave? He was ousted from that. What's the studio? Konami?
Yeah, he was Konami. Yeah, he was basically kind of. Whether he was fired or forced out, it was
Yeah. So then there was so much like, what is he going to do? He's going to how did he?
And he went straight into Death Stranding as well. So I kind of wonder, like almost immediately after we heard the news of him leaving Konami, we knew he was kind of working on a game, and then months later we got the first trailer for it. So I wonder then how finalized was his initial concept for the game. I think maybe it wasn't. I think he maybe had an idea and an image of what the game would kind of look like, but I don't think he maybe knew what the kind of actual gameplay mechanic was. And I think then maybe somewhere in production he wanted it to be a bit more unique and took a risk with this kind of delivery walking simulator as opposed to making an action game kind of like everybody expected. But it's good that it was unique. It was different, and it also turned out to be fucking bizarrely prophetic. You're playing a delivery man delivering packages to people who are living underground because they can't be in contact with each other because the outside world is like, I think it came out in September 2019. A lot of people played the game as well in 2019 and didn't like it. A lot of people played it and found themselves playing it then because they had no fucking choice, and they were like, this is odd. This is weirdly prescient. He joked as well at the Game Awards that this is in production, and he immediately had written a script and an outline for the second game when the first came out, and then he said he shortly rewrote it because he doesn't want to predict future events.
Oh my god.
So,
Was there any other announcement? Like, I'm having a quick look at like any announcement at the Game Awards that caught your fancy. Like the Hellboy game, we've seen sort of cell shading tests of Hellboy for a while from different people just playing around, going, "Can I make this work?" Or the Mignola look. How does it look?
it looks
moving?
nice. It's a little kind of stiff in movement. The trailer is pretty brief. It doesn't look like the biggest budget game, so
Yeah,
and the trailer is kind of brief. It looks nice. It does look nice. It kind of it faithfully recreates his style, but
yeah.
could be a little smoother. And I have no idea what the game is about or like what genre.
Yeah,
even
I
is,
saw somebody refer to it as a brawler, and it's like I can see how that's what you go to, but what people, or at least I like about Hellboy, isn't the fighting; it's the weird atmosphere and the half-explained narratives and the subjectivity of a lot of the storytelling. There's something. Is esoteric the word I'm looking for about it? But like,
yeah. And like the guys, the From Software guys, they make games that are like kind of heavily inspired by Lovecraft and stuff like that. Their flavor of games would be perfect for, like, even if you were to take Bloodborne and just replace the kind of player character with Hellboy, and it would be a really good fit.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't even have to be as deep. Like even in Bloodborne as well, you have a gun, but you kind of only use it for counterattacks and parries and stuff like that. So you could give him his gun without making it a shooting game as well. It's a thing used for parrying encounters, basically, and they could do that. Yeah, basically, if somebody was to take Bloodborne, change the aesthetic so it's kind of cell shaded in Mignola, and then just remove the kind of player created character and put in Hellboy, it would be
kind of in a way, yeah.
Kind of
Like,
makes itself. Someone should get on that.
Yeah, it just goes to show how few games and I've been playing, but like I'm immediately thinking of like Shadow of the Colossus or like an Ico, where there's just this like atmosphere that you're walking around and like
just
the
one
travel.
location.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have to be open world. Just have a castle on an island.
Yeah.
You start exploring the island. You dig deeper into the castle.
You find some Nazi remains. You find a Cthulhu monster somewhere. You find a little creepy thing. It scales.
You
up
really
to
have to play
whatever's in the basement.
Bloodborne.
Shit. Do I?
Get a PS4 before it's out of production. I mean, get a PS5. I can play it on PS5 as well. But get it and play Bloodborne. It's great. Just the thing you have to understand at the start is, you're supposed to lose a lot. Don't worry about it. Just don't get frustrated. Just soak in the atmosphere and explore. It's good stuff.
I saw Armored Core announced. Is that now? This is a game that I've kind of like been fascinated by but never played. That's the one that was like on the Xbox and came with like a fucking unit. Like it had its own control pad. Am I making that up?
I'm not sure.
There's one mech game that basically you bought it and it was like a $300 controller and it was like a cockpit, and you could turn on, you start the game and then when you begin the mission you have to like, you've got a fucking manual. You have to put in like a fucking 6-switch combination to get the thing started. There's an eject button.
I'm not sure.
If you don't
I've
eject,
seen it, yeah.
Fucking,
I bought 2 of them because I
maybe
thought
I'll
it'd be fun to
double-check.
hit my friends. I've lost so many money I've never used them.
somebody got it, did they?
No, God, no, that thing was ridiculous, Aidan. Nobody needs that.
Armored Core is by the guys who make Bloodborne and Dark Souls.
I
and stuff.
remember my brother Benny playing Armored Core all the time, and we had the demo as well, and we'd spend so much time creating logos.
I'm wrong. It's Steel Battalion.
No.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Brian, go on.
No, it's from the guys who made Bloodborne and Dark Souls and Sekiro, but they haven't
I
made.
oversold this
they haven't
controller
made
as well.
yeah, I was thinking that.
He said what?
I was like, did you dream this?
I oversold this. I'm looking at it now and I'm like, no, it was definitely expensive, but it's not as elaborate as
I do remember what you're talking about, though.
remember.
Yeah, it's the guys who made From Software, but they haven't made an Armored Core game in I think 9 years.
2013
So-
is what it said.
Yeah,
That'd be 9 years, right?
Yep. It's cool to see them go back to it, and it'll be interesting to see how much what they're known for today, how much of it will influence. And already I can kind of see it because, like the Dark Souls games in particular, they're usually set in a kind of a. It'd be kind of like a post-apocalyptic Middle Earth or something like that. You know, something kind of. Something terrible has happened. And the world is very much kind of in ruin. And there's usually some sort of like coveted resource that you were collecting and gathering, and that kind of becomes the in-game currency. But the world you're living in is it's old and it's dying. So it'll be interesting to see them bring then like a Japanese mecha anime thing into that world. And already, like from the trailer's great. It's got a real desperate vibe to it.
Speaking of great trailers and robots, Beast Wars. It's happening. I'm so excited. But Brian, so they bring out a new Armored Core game.
Hold on. No, we were just talking about Armored Core.
Because I don't want,
What are
I
you
don't want to
doing?
get caught up on the dog shit. I actually, to be honest, it makes me excited. I love Beast Wars back in the day. It was great. But no, just they are bringing out a new Armored Core game. Okay,
There,
well, if
yeah.
you're listening, Benny, there you go.
Not Steel
There's a
Battalion.
massive nostalgia for you. I remember like watching.
I'm sure Benny knows that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I would say so. But I remember watching them play it. Like I only really have memories of watching them play it, to be honest, and like creating designing mechs and stuff. But they had like a kind of I remember in the demo maybe there was like a kind of like a Cerebro type simulation room. It was just like your kind of black box with green lines, you know.
Little pre-rendered space.
Yeah, and like sliding around and doing the kind of the dashes and all that kind of stuff. Good fun. Speaking of good fun, Beast Wars. Yay!
I saw somebody doing a Michael Bay and what's this guy's name? Something Knight. Like
Travis?
a comparison of the design,
Travis Knight sounds right.
the two worlds. Just putting like Optimus next to Optimus or RC next to RC. Like I'd forgotten that there was a fucking geometric mess of metal that was supposed to be RC in the Michael Bay series. What a mess!
Have the new movies gone a little bit more traditional with the aesthetic and stuff?
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, they look very much like the generation.
Oh,
one kind
excellent,
of stuff,
excellent,
But
yeah.
modern. Yeah, they look
Because,
great. Yeah, and
It's
RC,
almost like they could have done that from the beginning.
They could've.
I
Absolutely.
liked
that was the people's biggest problem. They were like, there was no reason they couldn't look
clunky
like.
machines, but I liked the first.
Yeah.
I did now kind of. I remember just because I have to be honest. I remember coming out of the first Transformers movie, and after watching it, and I was just like, that was really fucking good. I loved it, but it just it's like Avatar though. The first time I saw it was Avatar, I thought it was great. I can't stand Avatar. I tried to watch it the other day. Fuck me. Fuck me, I can't. It's just awful. I don't even know if I'm really arsed to see the new one. I think I just liked it because of 3D spectacle. And I think really back then my brain wasn't developed enough to like look past the spectacle of these things and look at the storyline or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I've seen so much
But I do hate Transformers.
rendered alternate worlds through video games and animation and movies that like I'm not in awe of Pandora and the rendering of it as a space. It's like, yes, this is an alternate environment. Now, is your movie any good? Like, I'm not impressed by the rendering of the leather straps on your weird fish horse. Like, is this movie any good?
I hear it is. I hear it's a much better film. I still don't know if I'll go see it in the cinema though.
It's troubling.
We'll see.
Because it's troubling because of the fucking 4 sequels they're making.
Well, he's saying they're dependent as well on this being a success. So
Well, I'm sure the fact that my brothers and I will probably see it 15 to 25 times will help it be a massive success.
that'll help. That
Just
will
start
help.
sending money to it.
Yeah, I've already have.
I don't know.
Notes.
Did I miss a Transformers movie? Is
No,
there something after Bumblebee?
I didn't watch Bumblebee. You didn't miss any Transformers movie.
Bumblebee
Bumblebee.
is fun
I've not seen it.
because it's
Don't think
pretty
so, no.
small in its scope. You know what I mean? It is a smaller thing. They have less of these Transformers and
Kate
It's a
Bishop's
little-
in that, isn't she?
neater.
I feel she's in it.
Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah, she's great.
Yep.
But what I was going to say,
But this looks like it's back to being ludicrous number of... Like, by the end of that last Transformers movie with Anthony Hopkins in it, I know I went to that film, but I fell asleep for 40 minutes somewhere in the middle of it and woke up and there was I think Unicron was growing out of the planet or something. I don't know what the hell's going on.
I can't believe there was 2 more after.
Mark Wahlberg got involved.
no, the third one, right?
No, 2 more.
Yeah,
after
I'm
the third
with
one.
you,
there was
Brian.
2
Yeah.
Wahlberg films. That's
yeah,
crazy.
nuts.
Yeah.
So I would have watched the first one and possibly the second one. Is the second one when Megan Fox got replaced?
Third one?
Was she still in the? She was still in the second one.
Yeah.
The third one.
I
she
liked
was
her in
replaced
the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as April O'Neil, but and I don't think that movie was terribly bad. The worst, you know. But yeah, but so yeah. So I kind of after, so yeah. So I would have seen the third one then, and I just thought it was rubbish, absolutely horrendous. And then I've not watched it since. I know they did a dinosaur one and then Nightfall or something like that, but I've not watched any of it.
I saw the second one in the cinema and just like couldn't believe how bad it was. And
Say that again, Brian,
then
sorry.
I saw the second one in the cinema and I couldn't
Yeah.
believe how bad it
Oh,
was.
man.
Like it's astonishingly
Yeah.
bad. Then I was at a party one day on a Sunday, like kind of during the day, and I left that and I had a couple of drinks and then I went to see the third one in 3D and it was fun, but because I was drunk.
Yes,
not
yes,
because-
yeah.
Because the film was drunk.
Yeah.
Not because the film was any good.
I saw 300 sequels, in
and
the
then I
cinema.
didn't bother seeing. I ended up seeing the other 2 on TV.
Oh, right,
like
okay.
The last year or 2, and again they're fucking.
Dog
Yeah, I wouldn't
shit.
mind watching Bumblebee now.
Dog
To be fair, if it's the same director as the Beast Wars movie.
Bumblebee's okay. Like I didn't have the highest hopes for it. I liked it, but it's not bad, but it's still kind of.
Yeah.
It's likable, without being.
It's less
Great,
dislikable.
you know.
It's
Yeah.
still those Transformers movies with that much energy and that much silliness, and it's somebody
still,
going, "Hey, I
it
bought
still
a car."
needs to shed a lot of the kind of military stuff, which is such a massive part of it. Like it's strange that Spielberg produced the first one, and you can see his influence all over it, and it's very much just like it should just be about a kid getting their first car and like all the things that that's supposed to bring and all the things like particularly in American culture that's
Yeah.
supposed to bring, and then what if it was a
Yeah.
robot and all of the stuff that's supposed to bring, and it still quite isn't
That, yeah.
that.
And
Because
Bumblebee was a better shot of
essentially,
that,
like,
I'd imagine.
Yeah, and Bumblebee essentially tries to do the same thing, and it does a lot of it well, and it's if anything it did the 80s designs on screen. It did them justice, and that's kind of cool to see. And if anything, it's done that, so that's cool. Somebody should just make the movie, the animated movie.
Yeah.
Like that'd be great. Just make that. That's a good fun film. It feels like an adventure,
Would you kill Optimus in the first 15 minutes? Again?
God, yeah, that was fucking genius. I couldn't believe what I was seeing when that happened. I can't remember how old I was, but I was at home. My dad had come back from the video store, and he was just like, "I rented this for you," and I was like, "There's a movie? What?" And I just remember, like, even while it was on, I just remember like staring at the box art because it was really great illustration.
I don't remember well. Yeah,
on
yeah.
the cover. So I was looking at it and watching the film, and then within 10 minutes, Optimus Prime is dead. I was like, "What?"
I have no recollection of that movie whatsoever except for the box art.
It was
Yeah.
none. No way.
And then
my
like
God, I've
obviously
watched it
kind
so
of
many times.
I know, but like the thing is I know the soundtrack's pretty impressive, but
The theme tune is still great. Sometimes I just put it on just to get pumped
Yeah,
up.
fair.
It is so good.
Yeah, I'm just remembering it.
Is it?
It's
Oh,
fucking
I wanna
brilliant.
say-
The vocals
You
and the
got the
guitar
touch.
solo.
Yeah, you got the touch. I got the power or something, isn't it? Yeah.
No. The actual Transformers theme.
Oh, the robots in
Oh,
the skies.
okay, sorry.
Robots in the skies.
Yeah, but there's like a fucking hair metal
Okay,
version
yeah,
of it
yeah, yeah.
with
I get you.
I get
Yeah.
you.
with like 80s
Is that
vocals
where, like,
and guitar solo. It's so good.
And that happens when we see Hot Rod and the kid fishing and they're heading back to the city.
There's a different song there that's there. That's a great song as well. Which is yeah, and that is used in.
I thought that got I can't remember this film. Then I thought they used the like Transformer as they were like driving back to the city. Like,
No, I think they use Dare because they get attacked. You know what is funny? I was so young when I saw it, and I'd only seen it a couple of times, and then it was lost. You know, and as VHS were dying out, I couldn't see it for so long. It was years before I found it on DVD. But there's a part burned into my memory where Hot Rod and the kid
yeah,
drive up to a point so that they can look through what is it
Telescope?
called? No.
yeah.
telescope.
What are they
There's
actually
some
called?
sort of observatory.
Like kind of a observatory kind of thing.
Yeah,
A
there's
kind
an
of a
outpost.
viewing- whatever, yeah. And they go up to look at that to see the shuttle come in, and then the shuttle comes under attack, and like Hot Rod just kind of goes, "It's Decepticons," and then the song kicks in, and the kid's running, and then Hot Rod like drives up behind him, picks him up, scoops him. But like the line he says and the way the music kind of comes in behind it just burned into my brain. I think I don't know, it was maybe 4 or 5, and it was just seared in there forever. It's
Fair.
great. I have the DVD somewhere. I need to dig it
Yeah,
out.
definitely.
No, the music in it, I can't remember which song, but in Boogie Nights, actually back to Wahlberg. That's weird. They
all
reused
connected.
some of the songs that were written just for the film, but they reused them in Boogie Nights, and Wahlberg's character like sings them a couple of times. They're his
Brilliant. Yeah, so bizarre.
Psycho
Yeah,
Killer.
yeah.
Yeah. No, there's a couple of good tracks in it. There's a cool synthy kind of spacey, almost John Carpenter kind of one at the start when you see Unicron for the first time, and he destroys this other
Yeah,
kind of robot type planet. But no, the Transformers theme tune by Lion. I'm gonna send it to you later. You have to listen to it. It is fucking awesome. It's like up there with Eye of the Tiger.
Oh,
Maybe better.
okay, cool.
It's fucking great.
For sure.
So they should just remake that.
Remake more old things. I was on Disney Plus last night and I was looking at different stuff, and Amsterdam is on it, you know, the new
oh yeah,
Christian
David O. Russell.
all that kind of stuff. And I was looking at it's just like this original criminal movie, and it's just like, wow, we that's where we're at. It's just like putting in stuff like this is an original thing. It's not even a remake, you know. But
It's a Disney original.
I did put it on and turn it off.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, it was good. Emer wasn't really vibing on it. It wasn't like to be honest, Emer was willing to give it more time, but I was just like, no, look, kind of put something else on, you know. And
What's the read on that guy? I don't know. Like, is it Russell? Is he? a prick?
Oh, Russell, yeah. Apparently he's a big piece of shit. It's kind of crazy that
oh,
you know it's
People keep working with him.
yeah, I heard about that.
That's the disappointing thing, that like, you know, this stuff is you know, well-known secret, and then
It's
some
like
of
a
like
secret.
the stuff with Lily Tomlin was well known.
Yeah.
There was video of that for a while, and it just kind of got shushed and ignored. And then Me Too happened, and then stories of him resurfaced that, you know, became apparent that he's done more than that. And yeah, like, cancel culture fucking doesn't exist because people
It's so odd. Yeah.
people worked with him again, you know, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing because like you've got someone like Bale who worked with him on The Fighter, and then the stuff comes out
American
about his
Hustle as well.
reputation. Yep.
And this.
And now this, yeah, and it's just like, yeah,
And
people don't get
Lawrence
cancelled.
was Silver Linings Playbook, and whatever that fucking. What was the one where she was like invented a new kind of mop or something? I didn't watch that
Yep.
one.
Yep.
So she keeps working with him, but like,
Yep. People do. It's disappointing. Some people have to work, and then others, can kind of pick and choose stuff, and it's disappointing when, because you're just turning a blind eye to someone's behavior. It's kind of,
It's curious. It's curious
disappointing.
Indeed.
It is.
Yeah. What's the plan for the weekend then? Is Kev heading to Cork or something?
Yep.
Right. I need a week's worth of sleep. I really do. Like this is one.
Is
where
it
it's
the
like, this
drinking or
longest.
the late night? Which was it?
It's the late nights. Like last
Late night.
night. Last night was the fucking night out. Like by the end of it, I was like, "Whoa, that was." I don't think I even drank that much, but it was just a culmination of an end of a week, and it went till fucking 4 a.m. Like, and I've lost. Like, this has been a 14-day week. It just feels so long. Every minute of every day has been going from, it's been like, I know you have your sleep issues, but it's like for me, it's like I've just been non-stop from the minute I wake up until midnight or 1, and then sleep, and then back up at 7:30 and go. And I am zonked. And we got this thing that we can talk about in the future, but the comedy group had something kind of cool happen, and it's like we need images and promo photos and whatever else by X date, and that's cool. And it's not enormous, but it's big for us. But like Connor made a crack yesterday where he was like, "Oh, I was looking at like the deadlines and deliverables, and I went, oh, January, whatever, that is tight for Aidan." Because I'm the one doing the drawings and shit. And it, like there wasn't a sense of, entitlement or expectation there. He just knows that I'm going to go off and fucking try and do something. And like, I've already sent you some of like the reference images stuff. I'm like, how do I paint like this? You know what I mean? But I'm trying to get, I gotta actually have to put in that email. I told my boss, but like I want like to take leave at the end of this week and just be done for Christmas. I've got 5 days of holiday days left plus Christmas time off. I am about ready to just fall face down on a mattress for a month. But
do if you need to.
now I'm just complaining. Yeah.
I have to jump, but I'm so sorry we ran out of time. I just remembered it, and I watched Spirited Away with Ryan Reynolds.
No, you didn't. Did you enjoy Spirited with Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell?
I'm done. I'm gone. No, yes, I did enjoy it. It looks devastated. I did. It's really, really fun. I really enjoyed it. It's a great movie.
Okay. Bye.
Did you enjoy it? I know you enjoyed it. It is fun, man. It's good crack. Everybody is absolutely brilliant in it. It's really, really funny.
Yeah. I guess it was kind of a question because I haven't seen Reynolds do musical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I really doubted it, but when you see that first number where he is just such a dickhead doing the sales pitch stuff, it's kind of, I don't know if you've watched it, but it does put me in mind of like Monorail Guy in The Simpsons.
Sleaze.
He's at some conference doing a sort of like filthy salesman.
Yeah, it's exactly the Monorail. It's like 100% because he's just trying to pitch like natural trees over plastic trees and why they should do it. And like the advertising is basically just going to make people feel like it's not a real Christmas if it's not a real tree. And are you really even American?
It's an interesting little logical game I came across because I think that's something an audience can get behind, is the idea that like a real tree can be kind of nicer than the plastic ones. But he sells it in a like awful way.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's like, I know you've got a good intention, but if you cut the legs out from under your competitors and hit them in the face while they're going down at the same time, you can get what you want quicker and easier. You know what I mean? It's sort of like,
it's brutal.
Yeah,
but that's the whole.
It's like even if he's doing a good thing, he's doing it the shitty way.
But that's the whole thing, isn't it? Is he has to learn that the ends don't justify the means, essentially. Because even with his approach with his niece and stuff.
Interesting. Yeah.
But real trees are actually more sustainable than plastic trees, and better for the environment. However, I had a plastic tree growing up my entire life. And we would take it down from the attic every year. So I'd imagine if everybody held on to a plastic tree and kept it for like 20 years, you'd be doing all right. But yeah,
I think that's the idea, isn't
it
it?
is. But sure, like I suppose like the mass reduction of them just isn't.
Yeah,
Is the problem.
you know what? Now we're just. This is not film shit. This is just me looking at like the it. I'm
You have
thinking
7
about things
minutes,
even as
so
I say them.
make it count.
Yeah. So it feels like one of these little headlines that's just designed to sort of reassure us that the world isn't burning, but we kind of know it is. Where they're like, nothing consumes plastic, and yet we're starting to see bacteria that start to use it as a fuel. Like we're starting to see bacteria that break it down. And somebody said
That should
the
be
same.
terrifying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting to. Because it does feel like trying to reassure us that we can deal with this seemingly irremovable waste. They said, of course, there was a while where nothing would break down cellulose. So if a tree fell, that's just a tree. And eventually the bacteria and woodlouse and things evolved to consume trees. And I'm like, yeah. And because we had a perishable resource like wood that would degrade over time, we moved things towards plastics, which don't. So the idea that suddenly something comes along and starts eating plastics that we rely on because they don't rot.
Especially when like plastic production is limited, to like how much oil and things we can produce. Like if there's no oil, no plastic.
Yeah.
So if plastic is then getting, if we
Consumed.
can't reuse it and repurpose it, if it's getting eaten into oblivion, then that's a problem. Yay! Happy Christmas.
So even the thing we have too much of and that we're trying to get rid of, if we get rid of it, we're in trouble.
We're in trouble.
But they have they've created some sort of non-toxic sustainable gel that apparently can break down plastics. I don't know. Who knows? Or remove plastic, like microplastics. But sure, look, we're all made of.
I feel like COVID was made in the lab where they were trying to create bacteria to eat plastic.
I mean, aren't they now saying that there's like a 30 to 40% chance that it was? They went from saying
lab.
like, "Don't say that. That's racist. Shut your mouth. Don't even suggest." To now very much saying, "Yeah, no. I mean, there's a 30-40% chance that it was made in the lab and leaked by accident."
Yeah, but sure, like.
It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it is terrible, and people have lost their lives because of that.
See, the thing is, I don't ever think. Maybe it's me. I never ruled that out as a possibility. It's just Trump coming in and saying China flu and Kung flu and being racist as fuck about it, and people quarantining or ostracizing people of Asian origin because the first cases of this were identified in Wuhan.
That's
Get
always
to
the
fuck.
danger with a fucking dickhead like him, is that he'll take a fact and he'll use it to
Yeah, manipulate. Yeah,
make a problem. Yeah. I think Aiden needs to sleep.
I just ran through a bunch of topics in my head and was like, don't want to talk about Kanye, don't want to talk about Herschel Walker, don't want to talk about
What's Herschel Walker?
controversial. He was a
Oh
Senate
yes, that guy.
candidate in Georgia.
Yeah.
Georgia?
Fan of werewolves.
Fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Aggressive
I would
idiot.
say
but-
almost definitely has CTE though.
Yes.
What's CDE?
CTE, brain damage.
Chronic
basically.
traumatic. Is it chronic? Concussive traumatic encephalopathy? I'll probably have to find the words. Brain damage due to repeated hitting in the
Oh,
head.
is he a football player or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what he is this the black guy that's running for stuff? Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He.
I just saw Stanford Green talking about him and saying stuff.
Yeah.
And he mentioned something about that. I wouldn't have known the guy, race or whoever he was.
He's an interesting. He's a fucking another example of a kind of Trump character where it's like there is so much evidence of this man's ill behavior, and the he's got like a
He came
dissociative
this
disorder as well because of the
close
head injuries. Like
to winning.
Yeah.
Like
he, two women say he basically forced them to get abortions.
he's walked down on his family,
Yeah,
walked out on kids already. And the thing is, like, he's hypocritical about it, because he's anti-abortion and everything, and yet he's he's tried to secretly have women he's cheated with to get abortions and stuff, and just a bad dude. But like he claimed.
I don't know nothing
like
about her
2%.
pregnancies. I don't even know her, but also I gave her a gift of X amount of money.
Didn't they foil
2%? I think is what he won by.
20,000.
Didn't they foil some far right plot to take over in Germany?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I think the rights feel like the left have, but because they gained some power, they feel like they've pushed back too much, and now they're pushing back further, and it's just like it's like a tick for tat type of thing, isn't it? And it's the right are far more problematic and deplorable.
There's a phrase my good friend Brian O'Sullivan uses.
The usual dorks.
Just the usual dorks.
Just the usual, the dorcas. It's a dorcas. It's a dorcas board of dorks.
Because there was protests against a drag show in somewhere in America, and there was just like a parade of white supremacist gobshites.
They also shot up like generators, so there was blackouts in parts of a state because, like, so the show couldn't go ahead. They basically shot
so
up
fucking lame
substations and stuff.
Lame.
Like that is
terrorism. Exactly. Yeah, that is terrorism.
That is straight
America.
Up, like you're attacking the infrastructure.
America preaches so much about terrorism, not realizing that their biggest threat is the terrorists on their own soil attacking their own fucking shit. You know, domestic terrorism. But I would say,
but the other thing that they don't realize is that they are being whipped up into that state by foreign influence.
Russia.
So
whatever.
Like a lot of those people wouldn't give a shit about drag shows, except for the media that they don't even realize they're in an echo chamber. Yeah, whether it's the Fox News or whether it's Facebook, but so much of the anti kind of LGBT, anti BLM, all like and anti Antifa stuff. That is all of that is like Russian propaganda. That is anti-US Russian propaganda. Like they don't even realize that they're being fed anti-US opinions by
Russia,
their actual enemies, and they're being turned against themselves.
Yep.
So they don't even realize that they're being
Manipulated
turned into their own enemy. They are oblivious to it, and they talk about how they're under attack and the importance of their freedom and stuff, and they're the ones dismantling it and tearing it apart themselves. See you later.
You have a train at 12. You've got hours.
He doesn't have time. He's got to go. He's got to get there by 11:30, which means he's got to leave now.
Yes. But cut out all that political talk. We don't need it. We're not that kind of pod.
What? Okay, you jump, Kevin. We'll talk to you later.
Oh, excuse me, Aidan. I'm sorry.
Stop your recording. Send me your
Shut
file.
up and go.
Is he going to Cork for something, or is he just coming to visit you, hang out, or
just popping down? Yeah, he's coming back tomorrow.
Oh, that's class. What if he has a plan?
Nah. He'd asked, like he was saying, he'd like to see Pete and Podge, and he was asking, what weekend would suit them. And they both said like, oh yeah, this weekend would be fine. And then I'm trying to pin them down to make plans, and neither of them have gotten back to me. So it's like, look, if we see them, we see them. I'm dog sitting this weekend anyway, so I'm heading back over to my brother's, so we might just even
chill out,
stay in. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, I think we can end the recording aspect of this.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. We've got an hour 45, and I think we hit a moment where we both said just the usual dorks in sync, which kind of was a nice ending.